Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Cory Sauter Show here at Studio One, Marshall Local Cable Access, and online at smsumustangs.com. I'm Kelly Loft, Athletic Communications Director at SMSU, and of course the Mustangs with a nice homecoming victory over Upper Iowa University this past Saturday. The Mustangs winning 28-25. We'll be talking about that game, look at the highlights, and then preview this week's game against the University of Sioux Falls down in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And joining us, as always, is the head coach, Cory Sauter. The Mustangs, again, a nice win this past Saturday night, 28-25 over the Peacocks. And, Coach, there's lots to talk about. We'll have some exciting highlights, but overall, just great to get back in that win column. We've had a couple of very tough games, some close losses this season, but overall, just a great way, a great feeling for the guys to get the win.
Yeah, it sure was, and especially, too, for it being a homecoming weekend and seeing all the alum and everything else that goes with that. Just a very rewarding experience for all of us. And whether you're undefeated on a year or whether you've only won one game, still winning feels great. And tell you what, when you wake up the next morning, you just walk a little bit better, a little higher, a little taller, feeling better about yourself. And I tell you what, our kids really battled and deserved to win that football game. And as I told those guys, it was a week-long process. It really was. It started on Sunday and it progressed all the way through the week. And I felt like we went into that game feeling as if we're going to get this one. And so excited about just the way they prepared. And that's really what allowed them to put themselves in position to be successful.
Now, of course, homecoming, a lot to it. Obviously, the build-up throughout the week, and the players and coaches probably don't have to get too involved in that. But what an atmosphere there at the stadium, and you probably don't even get to see half of the stuff that goes out ahead of time. But there's so many people excited to be there at the game, and most attend the game. A great crowd and just a great environment, because they really make a difference, especially late in the game, trying to get that defense off the field.
Absolutely, that creates an extra level of energy, really for our guys. As coaches, we really don't notice a whole lot just because we're kind of locked into calls and you got your headphones on and coaches are up in the box and those things. But you can definitely tell when the game was on the line, that 12th man, so to speak, really helped us down the stretch. And, you take a look at all the big plays defensively and the pass breakups and the sacks and interception and things. I mean, all those are a result of the players, but also the fans really giving us some energy, and anytime you have a tight ball game, that's part of the home field advantage, and we definitely took advantage of that.
Well, this game featured everything here, special teams, offense, defense as well, but just some of the numbers. The Mustangs in this contest with 466 yards of total offense on 75 total plays. Upper Iowa, on the other hand, Coach, 468, but it took them 103 plays to do it. They had the second leading rusher in Division II, and Chris Smith led the country in touchdown rushes as well. Over 4,000 rushing yards coming into the game, and he's limited to just over 100. He had 55 on one carry in the third quarter that gave the Peacocks the lead. But the defense, unbelievable job in shutting down that offensive tackle, which was one of the best in Division II.
Yeah, no, a lot of credit goes to Coach Gunther and the defensive staff for really putting together a really nice plan. I mean, they put a lot into this thing, knowing that there's a lot of weapons that you got to stop. You got Chris Smith, you've got the receivers, you got Hefty, the tight end, quarterback that's played a lot of football. So it's easier said than done to try to put something together to keep these guys out of the end zone, and that's the ultimate. That's really defensively. That's the biggest stat that you look for is, points. Can you limit the team from getting out of the end zone, and we're able to do that. And we put them in some tough spots too. I mean, we went for it on our own 40-yard line. We got stopped, and all of a sudden they've got a short field. So, tell you what, the defensive staff, the players bought into the plan and really rose to the occasion. And it's again another Upper Iowa Southwest game, and tight ball game, tight spread, and I'm really excited that we're able to keep that streak going.
Yeah, good. It was another close one. The Mustangs now have won 7 straight times against the Peacocks, and nearly every one of them less than a touchdown difference. So a big win for Southwest. And you had a good point there about the defense following that fourth down stop by Upper Iowa, putting the ball at the Mustang 40, held them to a field goal, and then the other 7 points they had here in the first half was on a punt return. So overall, just an unbelievable job. And the Peacocks, you knew were going to make a run there in the fourth quarter after the Mustangs took a 2-touchdown lead, but they came back and made some stops and some big sacks. And just some of the numbers: 3 sacks for the Mustang defense and 10 pass breakups, which is obviously great coverage, but really was physical game, and a lot of those pass breakups were just hard hits, and we'll see a highlight later, the last sack of the game, absolutely punishing their quarterback, and that's what you like to see, just clean, hard football.
Yeah, very, very physical game. I mean, even on the sidelines, we're not out on the field, but you can almost feel the vibrations of the hits sometimes. I mean, there's some pretty amazing strikes going on across the board, and a lot of different guys were involved with that, but defensive line, linebackers, safeties, corners, they came to play, and that's just part of the way we need to play is we've got to set the tempo, set the tone, and again, those guys definitely fed off the energy and made plays when they're there to be made, and that's the game of football. You got to be able to do that.
Well, on the offensive side of things, Devontae Stevens rushing another nice game, 90 yards on 12 carries. Tyler Tondrum, 17 carries, 83 yards, and caught some balls out of the backfield as well. Had a long touchdown run called back, and good to see Tyler kind of click in there, because that offensive line for another week in a row had to, kind of change parts because of injuries and whatnot, but they really established the line of scrimmage and rushing for over 200 yards as a team.
Yeah, we moved a lot of those linemen around. We had Grant Greenfield playing left tackle as normal, but we definitely we moved Kane Hutchinson from that right tackle spot to left guard. We moved Hilgert to right guard, McCauley to right tackle. I mean, there's just a lot of shuffling that went on over the course of last week. Just trying to get the right setup, the right 5 guys, and putting them in positions where they can be successful. And unfortunately, Kane Hutchinson had an injury during the game. We had to take him out, and he's probably going to be done for the year. And Joe Grant came in, did a nice job, provided us some nice play for that, and we really didn't miss a beat. So it was good to just see everybody just play up to a high level. We got to continue to work that offensive line, and Coach Frana does an awesome job just getting those guys ready, and you can just see them just getting better and better each and every week, and that's what we emphasize. And so it's just good to see all around everybody, regardless of record, going in that game, not a whole lot of people were betting on the Mustangs to win that one. And just, talking with our players over the course of the week, perception and reality, those are the things that people talk about. Perception, thinking that, really Southwest doesn't have a chance. Perception is, Upper Iowa, they're undefeated, they've got all the answers. So we really felt like we had something to prove, and we had, really it comes down to earning that respect, from your opponent, and that's what we're playing for last game. Is, despite our record, we wanted to make sure that everybody who we play on our schedule still has respect for us, and so. I tell you what, guys really bought in and really put the work in, and it really showed on Saturday.
Yeah, it was an exciting ball game for the Mustangs, winning 28-25, rallying back in that fourth quarter after trailing going into the last quarter with a couple of touchdown passes. Charlie Kern to Jordan Cross, and that gave the Mustangs a 28-17 lead. Upper Iowa did score to make it, and got the 2-point conversion to make it 28-25, but the Mustangs did enough down the stretch to get the victory by 3 and snap the 3-game losing streak. There's lots of highlights from the ball game from the Shawana Regional Event Center, so let's take a look at those highlights from the stadium on Saturday night as the Mustangs knocked off Upper Iowa 28-25. And we start off here on defense Mustangs turn in this turnover. Interception by Drew McReynolds for some points.
Yeah, very nice play here. The only thing that we ask is Drew doesn't get tackled by an offensive lineman. We got to make that guy miss. But it was definitely a boost for us to get a big turnover. They're very stingy with the football, and they very rarely turn the football over. So this was good to just see us make a play like this. But you can see everyone's working, trying to create some lanes for him on the return, and just a very positive play for us.
Mustangs had for a couple of penalties on that particular interception return, so they had to start off a little bit deeper, but a big run here by Devontae Stevens.
Yeah, it is really well blocked on the perimeter. Carr playing the tight end position, seals the edge. We got Lyman pulling around the corner, and we get the edge, and nice job getting down the field.
So Stevens down inside the 5-yard line. Couple of plays later, Charlie Kern on the quarterback keeper.
Yep. Again, Upper Iowa is playing a lot of zone coverage down here in the red zone, taking away a lot of our passing lanes. So Charlie pulls it here and runs it in, and he's done a nice job all year with that play.
So the Mustangs take a 7-0 lead. Later on now in the second quarter, a sack, 1 of 3 by the Mustangs, Rakeem Felder.
Yeah, Rakeem has just a really great get off here. He's playing the nose position, gets off the block, and does a nice job with his hands and great finish.
Mustangs facing a second and long situation. No worries, Kern to Nate Hewitt.
Yeah, no, great job just going up for the football. 2 guys battling for it. As you can see from the end zone, really have an awesome pocket for Charlie just to stand in there and step into the throw. Puts it in an area where those 2 can battle for it, and Hewitt does a nice job coming down with it and finishing it.
That gives the Mustangs a 14-10 lead, and we head into halftime here. One last highlight, a nice run by Tondrum for 23 yards.
Yep, great vision, great burst, and the nice job here is as far as being physical up front and creating a seam for Tyler.
So the Mustangs take the lead at halftime by a score of 14-10. A very well played half. Again, the Mustang defense gave up just the 7 points. Did have a punt return, a nice return, 91 yards. And, that's still something to work. And besides that one play, the special teams did a very good job, both punt and kickoff throughout the game.
Yeah, no, we did a lot this past week. We invested a lot of time and energy in that punt unit. Obviously, the week before, we really, really struggled. And so what we ended up doing is moving some guys. We put some offensive linemen in our shield, so we have about 1,000 pounds back there to protect, and there was never a time where we felt like it was ever going to get blocked or close to getting blocked. I mean, we really felt comfortable back there, and Mike had time to get it out. We did have the one return, which a player or two was not in the right lane, so I think that'll be an easy correction, but I'm just excited that we're able to get punts off and not really, we really didn't have an issue with that unit.
Yeah, of course, again, the halftime lead. Mustangs got the ball to start the second half, had a touchdown called back because of a penalty, but we were able to overcome that, and that was great to see. And we talked about special teams. That last drive of the game, Upper Iowa, they had to start at their own 5-yard line because of a beautiful punt by Mike Wenk. And we've had, as we mentioned, some issues sometimes getting the punt off, but when Mike connects on it, he's right up there and leading the conference and punts inside the 20, and that was a great example of how to win a football game, is using that punt game.
Yeah, no, those are all those hidden yards that you don't talk about, and anytime you give your opponent field position, percentages go up for scoring, and that was one of the biggest plays in the ball game. Actually, is to be able to pin them on their own 5 late in the game, and because really all they needed is a field goal to tie the thing to go into overtime. So that became a very, very big play for us down the stretch.
Again, so we head on now to the second half of the highlights from the Schwann Regional Event Center. Mustangs forced a punt on their first drive. Upper Iowa takes the lead on a long Chris Smith touchdown run, but Mustangs get it going here in their second possession of the half on a big run by Charlie Kern.
Yeah, Kern really has the ability to set up blocks and make that one guy miss, and that's just an important thing that you've got to have at this position, is to be able to get some of those tough yards.
Mustangs back on defense. Big night for A.J. Page and just blows through here.
Yeah, no, he just comes in untouched. One of the hardest hits I've seen in person. I mean, he just basically puts the guy in his back, and it was an amazing hit.
Here's probably the play of the game. Mustangs trailing by 3 points and a fumble here forced by Tyler Flood.
Absolutely huge play. I mean, that's why you finish each and every play, because you just don't know who's going to make something happen. Ball comes out, we get on it. I mean, we keep them on the end zone. Amazing play.
Flood with the fumble forcing, and then Max Matala with the recovery. And then the Mustangs, big screen pass here. Kern to Tondrum got this going.
Yeah, no, we definitely needed a big play like this. Our left tackle Greenfield comes down, gets enough on that backer just to influence him, and gets it to Tyler on the screen, and we're off to the races.
So the Mustangs trailing at this point. They take the lead, Kern to Jordan Cross.
And we get one-on-one coverage up top, and just a really nice back shoulder throw. Very difficult throw to defend, and Jordan does a nice job just boxing the defender out and making the play.
Mustangs take the lead. A huge stand coming up here for the Mustang defense. They need to get a punt by Upper Iowa, and they get it going here. Lance Boozer with the sack.
Yeah, and really this play started with just good coverage. You can see the quarterback has to hold on the football. It's about 3.5 seconds in the pocket, and Boozer does a nice job with the sack.
Mustangs force a punt. They come back, and again, Kern to Cross connection.
Another big-time play. We get one-on-one, and that's as good as it's going to get as a receiver. And we're doing a nice job just throwing balls in vicinity where our guy can go up and make a play, and just a big-time play for us.
28-17 lead for the Mustangs, and then Jake Lefso, the senior, with a couple of big plays here to win the game.
Yeah, no, the senior stepping up and really let us set up this final play.
And this is it. Just hammers Jaschke, the quarterback. This is the way the game ends with the sack here.
Yep, last play of the game, and offensive tackle gets beat inside, and what a way to end the game for us. This is your typical finale, so to speak, for those SMSU Upper Iowa ball games.
Yeah, that Lefso be able just to slip inside there. A great call, and he gets the sack, and the Mustangs win 28-25 over Upper Iowa. The first loss of the season for the Peacocks as they dropped to 5-1. The Mustangs improved to 2-4, and more importantly, 1-1 in the NSIC South Division. So the Mustangs now go back on the road this weekend, taking on the University of Sioux Falls. And Coach, you just each week I look at it. Whoever they put on the schedule, that's who you're going to play. But we were looking at some of the numbers going into last week. But this year, the Mustangs have played an undefeated UMD squad on the road, played Minnesota State, who is undefeated, still is, Upper Iowa last week undefeated, and now Sioux Falls 6-0. So the last 3 weeks, 4 of the last 5 weeks, the Mustangs playing a undefeated team. 3 of those teams ranked in the top 25, and that's the case this week against the University of Sioux Falls. And kind of the same mantra you talked about last week going into Upper Iowa. Nobody's probably going to give the Mustangs a chance, and Sioux Falls are obviously a very good team right now, undefeated. But let's strap it on and see what we can do, and it's going to be an exciting challenge to take on the Cougars.
Well, we get to go to work again, so another week, and we're into the second half of the season. And really, last game at halftime, that was the actual halfway point of the season, and it was one of those moments where you challenge your players. What are we going to be like in the second half? And it really that second half of the season started with the second half of last game, and the nice thing is they're able to finish it and get a win. So we got to go into this one on the road. We won't have that advantage that we had this past weekend, and so there's going to be a lot against us, but I tell you what, having a win definitely gave us a boost of confidence going into this next ball game, and again, we just got to go back to work, put together another plan, get our players healthy and ready to go, and play those guys at 12 o'clock. So it should be a fun matchup.
Yeah, Sioux Falls, again, as you mentioned, 6-0 this season, 2-0 in the NSIC South. And Coach, so last year we saw the pieces that they have on the offensive side. It was a shootout for homecoming. Mustangs lost 55-48, but they've made some adjustments, and their defense really playing well right now, one of the top defenses in the country, and obviously their offense is right up there as well as one of the top offenses in the NSIC. Talk about just some of the challenges the Cougars bring into this ball game.
Yeah, they've really stepped it up this year. I mean, they've always been pretty good offensively. Last year they struggled defensively, but I think they're number 2 on offense and number 2 defensively overall in the Northern Sun. So they've got a lot of pieces put together. They're playing with confidence. They're making big plays. They play fast offensively. I mean, they average about 90 plays a game, and they're going really, really fast. So they will present some issues and some problems. You know what? It definitely is going to be a challenge. There's no question about it. And, you know, it's one of those games, something's going to have to happen. You know, they're an upper echelon team in this conference this year, and, you know, we're looking forward to the challenge. But it's going to take a heck of an effort. And the nice thing is our special teams has been kind of that neutralizing factor, so to speak, in some of these tight ball games, making some plays. And we just got to continue that. Defensively, we got to still stay aggressive like we did last week. Last week was kind of one of our best games that we've had defensively, and that's got to carry over into this week. So they do have a running quarterback, the ability to run with that guy, and so that adds an extra element that we haven't seen in the last couple weeks, and so that will present some issues. So, but hey, another ball game. We're going to get ourselves ready to go. Our kids are going to be excited about the challenge, and off we go.
Yeah, it should be fun. 12 o'clock, early kickoff down at Bob Young Stadium in Sioux Falls. The Cougars 6-0, the Mustangs at 2-4. The Cougars have beaten the Mustangs the last 2 times they played now that they've joined Division II and the Northern Sun Intercollegiate Conference. So promises to be a big weekend of football down in Sioux Falls. Mustangs return home in 2 weeks to take on Wayne State on Saturday night in late October. Coach, thanks for stopping in this week, and a special thanks to you for watching the Cory Sauter Show as the Mustangs, we look back at that win over Upper Iowa. For the head coach, Cory Sauter, I'm Kelly Law. Thanks for watching this week. Until next time, go Mustangs.